4 years. That is how long it has been since King Charles was in a room with his youngest grandchildren. Today, that ended. Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily all sat down with the King and Queen and Highgrove for the private family reunion their brand has been chasing for a full year. No cameras were allowed inside, and yet, somehow, all of us knew it happened before the teacups were cleared. And that is only the opening because there's an Invictus milestone the wife skipped, a closed gate at Diana's grave, a Netflix question nobody in Montecito once asked, and a brother who spent the same afternoon quietly raising money for air ambulances. Welcome back, my Royal Rogues. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Let's get down to it. So let me start at Highgrove because this is the frame the whole trip was built around. Today, Friday the 10th of July, King Charles' Gloucestershire home hosted a reunion 4 years in the making. Charles and Camilla on one side, Harry, Meghan, and two small children on the other. And for the first time since the Platinum Jubilee back in 2022, the King finally shared a room with Archie and Lily. But let me precise about what actually happened here, because, the details are important. Harry, Meghan, and both children traveled to the King's Gloucestershire residence and were hosted there by Charles and Camilla. The last time the King laid eyes on those two children was the summer of the Jubilee 4 years ago. Lily was barely a toddler, Archie was 3, and the man Harry last saw in person was his own father back in September of last year for a private tea at Clarence's house that lasted, on the reporting, if I remember correctly, about 1 hour. Before that, you have to go all the way back into February of 2024, another short Clarence's house visit in the days after the King's cancer diagnosis was made public. So, this is a father and son who, across 2.5 years, have managed roughly 2 hours in the same room. And the grandchildren, in all of that time, had nothing at all. So the picture itself, a grandfather in his late 70s on the far side of a cancer diagnosis, finally getting an afternoon with the grandchildren he has watched grow up through other people's Instagram grids. That part is real. And for those two children, it is a good thing. The children are not the story here. The story is the timing, as usual. Because notice the week this warm afternoon has been dropped into. On Tuesday, a British judge threw out Harry's privacy case against the publisher of the Daily Mail on every single count and left him staring at a legal bill that could touch £50 million. Harry's answer to losing was to call that judgment, in his own word, a whitewash, to accuse a British court of seeing the truth and burying it to protect a tabloid. And then 48 hours later, the same man who called the justice system of his own country corrupt is sitting in his father's drawing room, photographed by nobody and reported by everybody. Because remember, too, that this reunion very nearly did not happen at all. The reporting has spent the last fortnight describing it as one that keeps descending into chaos, a plan that came together, fell apart over security, got rebuilt, wobbled again, and only landed at the last possible moment before the plane home. A private family reunion is indeed a lovely thing, but a private family reunion that reaches the magazines before the plates are cleared is a communications decision. And don't lose the sequence. You lose the case on Tuesday, skip the flagship photograph on Friday morning, we covered that yesterday, and land the family reunion by Friday afternoon. So 3 days, 3 headlines, and only the last one is the one the brand wants you to carry home. The warm picture was always going to be booked to run over the cold court week. How convenient. Well, one brother lost a case and blamed the judge. Then he found a grandfather to stand next to. And speaking out who showed up where, let me take you to Birmingham because the split running through the strip tells you everything. Today, the very same day as that Highgrove reunion, Harry was at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham for the Invictus Games 1 year to go celebration. 1 year out from the Birmingham Games. The flagship milestone of the movement he founded. And yes, you're seeing Harry here competing with actually disabled people. Some people have said that this is bad optics, but you have to remember that Harry has an actual disability, mental disability, so I guess he technically fits. Well, you be the judge. But well, Harry worked as a laser run, a wheelchair rugby match, a round of pickleball alongside Birmingham's own Alison Hammond and the Paralympian Aid Adepitan. Over 550 competitors from 26 nations are coming to that city next summer. Wounded and injured service personnel who have rebuilt their lives around that competition. Their moment is real, and the games themselves matter. But look at who was standing next to Harry for the milestone and who was not. Methane was a ghost on the public schedule this week, and the guest of honor on the private one. How convenient. So she was not in Birmingham. Meghan did not appear at a single public engagement on this entire trip. The line from her side is that she stayed back with the children under agreed conditions because of the security arrangements the family has been fighting about in public for a fortnight. Now, hold that next to what Harry himself told the BBC last year. In his own words, he could not see a world in which he would be bringing his wife and children back to the United Kingdom, and he called it sad that he could not show his children his homeland. Could not see a world. That's what he said. And yet, here we are. The wife and both children on British soil this week. So the question answers itself. The country is apparently too dangerous for Meghan to stand beside her husband at a wounded veterans event in a convention center in the Midlands. But it is safe enough for her to bring both children to a private house in Gloucestershire for the family photograph the brand has wanted for a year. So the security is so severe, it rules out every public duty somehow, evaporates the moment there is a reunion worth being seen to have. So no, this is not a security policy. This is a guest list. This is material for the magazines. The public engagement, the veterans, the cameras, the milestone that asks something of you and gives you nothing back, but a headline you cannot control. Yeah, no, I'm fine, says Meghan. That one she skips. The private one that quietly rehabilitates the family image, that one the whole household turns up for. So the founder does the work, quote-unquote, in Birmingham on his own. And the picture everyone will actually remember from this trip is the one taken 100 miles away in a drawing room where not a single service member was in the frame. No photographs in there. The wife, who could not travel for the veterans, somehow traveled for the drawing room. But let me take you to a set of gates that closed today, because this is where the trip gets genuinely uncomfortable. Althorpe, I don't know how to pronounce this, Northamptonshire state run by Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, where Diana is buried on a small island on the middle of a lake. The estate only opens to the public across July and August, and on the reporting, Althorpe is shut to the public on exactly 2 days this summer. Today, the 10th, and tomorrow, the 11th of July. The precise window Harry and his family are in the country. Now, the state itself notes those closures are a standard part of its schedule, so nobody should overstate the coincidence. But the reporting is that Harry may use this trip to take Archie and Lily to their grandmother's grave for the very first time. And a father taking his children to the memory of the grandmother they never got to know is, on its own, an ordinary and human thing to want. But here's where it stops being ordinary. Because a separate strand of the reporting carries a claim the brand should be sprinting to deny anytime soon, but hasn't. The claim is that a camera crew may travel with them and that the visit to Diana's resting place could be captured for a future Netflix project. Oh my God, you were expecting this, right? I won't be surprised. At this point, there's nothing that surprised me anymore. The grave of Princess Diana on an island close to the public as a location scout for a streaming deal when Harry and Meghan and the children are in the UK. Now, Earl Spencer controls what is filmed on that estate, and he has said no before. He reportedly refused to let the Crown shoot there, so the cameras may never get through the gate. But the tale is not whether a crew shows up. The tale is that the question can even be asked with a straight face. Harry has been here before on the page. In his own memoir, he wrote about bringing Meghan to that grave in his words, bringing the girl of his dreams home to meet Mom. Describing Meghan kneeling and praying for clarity and guidance. Give me a break. Oh my God, no. The moment was intimate enough to put in a $20 million book. So when the reporting now says a camera might follow the children to Diana's island, nobody in the audience laughs it off because the grave, the anniversary, the childhood, the mother have all been a product before. So the candle line was branded on the children's birthdays. The memoir put a body count in print. There was a time, not from Meghan, from Harry. The body count was, just to be clear, there was a time when a man visiting his mother's grave would never once have to clarify whether it was being monetized. For this couple, the clarification is genuinely required. And the silence, where the denial should be, is its own answer. A closed gate at a grave, and a question the household will never answer. But let me close on the other brother, because the calendar handed us the contrast for free again. As I told you yesterday, on the same Friday, Harry was staging a reunion in Gloucestershire and a milestone in Birmingham. The Prince of Wales was on a polo field, not making a statement, not managing a headline. William played the Royal Charity Polo Cup at the Guards Polo Club, the 15th time he has turned out for that fixture. And the point of it is the part that never gets a magazine cover. The match raised money across 10 separate charities. 10! Among them, Wales Air Ambulance, the Royal College of Paramedics, a children's hospice, a maternal mental health alliance, and a homelessness charity. No grievance stapled to the front of it. No curt statement waiting in the wings. No question about whether a camera crew was coming. Just a working royal getting on a horse to move money toward air ambulances and paramedics and then going home to his family without a press release. And notice what William did not do. He did not brief the reunion. He did not attend the Invictus milestone he was never obliged to attend. He did not put out a single word about the brother a short drive away. He played his match, the money went to the causes, and the day closed without a single line of drama attached to his name. That is the whole week in one frame. One brother spent the day building a private image and skipping the public duty with a £50 million bill behind him and a Netflix question in front of him. The other spent the same afternoon quietly turning a polo match into money for the people who scrape strangers off the motorway at 3 a.m. So nobody had to write that split into a script. The 10th of July simply laid it on the table and walked away. The gingerbread got his reunion at last. The country got a paramedics fund. And the invoice from Tuesday is still sitting exactly where he left it. So the thread running under this entire visit is the one we watch every single time. The private frame gets the whole family, the whole household, everyone in their best clothes, and the public duty gets Harry alone, fooling on his own. 6 years on, that is still the only setting the operation runs in. The family assembles for the frame that helps and scatters for the frame that has a price on it. I very much doubt that reunion photograph is the last we hear of the Highgrove afternoon or of what did or did not happen behind the gates at Althorpe. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.